All right. Raise your right hand for me, Mr. Winder. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Winder, you're before the court on state of Georgia. Oh, 1 second. You're before the court on state of Georgia versus Davion and Drell Winder, 2021 CR 07961. You're before the court for driving on a suspended license, no license, and no tail lights. You're representing yourself. Are you over 21, Mr. Winder?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. By entering a plea of no to count 1, counts 2 and 3 will be no prosecute. You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On April the 3rd of 2021, while on duty of Highway 85 and Allen Drive in Riverdale, Georgia, where the incident did occur in Clayton County, Mr. Winder was observed operating a motor vehicle with a defective tag light. A traffic stop was initiated and contact was made. It was determined that Mr. Winder did not have a valid driver's license. The state is recommending for count 1 a $500 fine, counts 2 and 3 be no pros.
All right, Mr. Winder, do you need more than 60 days to pay the fine?
No, ma'am.
With the surcharges, it's going to be $737.50.
But it went up from 500.
Yeah, because there's surcharges with it that the state imposes. So it's $737.50. If you need more than 60 days, there's a probation option that I can put you on.
No, ma'am. I believe I'll have it done in 60 days.
All right. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to chat your email address to Miss Amanda Wright, R-Y-T-E.
Amanda Wright.
If you go to the chat function, when it says everyone, click on everyone and then go down to one of the first names. It'll be Amanda Wright, R-Y-T-E.
Okay. I see Amanda Wright.
Click on her name and then send her your email address. Make sure you check all the letters and numbers to make sure they're in the right place. When you receive that email, then it'll give you instructions about how to pay. And you can always come into the courthouse and pay on the second floor.
Okay. And with getting the disposition form, would I get that sent to my email or?
Yeah, it will.
And will it be today or necessarily like a?
You'll get it probably this afternoon or tomorrow.
Okay. Because that's how planned on paying the fee, I'm guessing, because I had
Because you have what, babe?
Because I had paid the bail bond like in full.
Oh,
so
no, you'll have 60 days. So I'm sorry, I didn't know that's what you intended to do. This is what you do. So you need to go to the jail and ask for a refund of your bond. Are you here in town or are you somewhere else?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in Georgia. It's just that when I went, they had just said the case was still open. So necessarily,
right, but the case is closed now.
Okay, so I'm good to go to the.
This closes
okay.
it. Yeah, so you can go and initiate refund of your bond. Once you do that, then they'll give you the money back. And then if you want to, you can bring it right over to the courthouse and pay.
Right, that's what I plan on doing.
Okay, then that's fine. But you'll have 60 days in which to do that because it may take them some time to get your bond together. But the case is closed, so they can refund now.
Okay, so will you think they'll have it today if I go today?
I don't know if they'll have it, but you need to go start the process.
Okay. See, I thought that's what I had already did, but okay, I'll go there in a second.
Yeah, they won't know that the case is closed unless you tell them, because they're probably not going to look back and say, "Oh, this case is closed. Let me send him his money."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, then you can go check that out and then make the payment on time and we'll be done. Thank you, Mr. Wonder.
Thank you.
Ms. Dukes?
Hello.
Hi. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Ms. Dukes, do you know where you are?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you?
Play County Court.
Okay, all right. Do you know who your lawyer is?
Mr. Justin Moore. Justin White.
It's Justin, but is this the other Justin? This is Mr. Justin White.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you have any questions for me before we get started?
I'm sorry. I want to tell you that I have a question.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Dukes, you're before the court on case 2023 CR 06590 for one count of battery, one count of simple battery, another count of simple battery, and criminal trespass. And you're represented by Mr. White, who works in the same firm as Mr. Moore. All right, Mr. White has told us you wish to enter a plea of guilty. Mr. White, to which charge?
Your Honor, she'll be entering a plea of guilty to the battery and to the criminal trespass charge, Your Honor.
Okay, so 1 and 4. By entering a plea of guilty to counts 1 and 4, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
On February the 7th, 2022, defendant went to the victim's place of business. The victim's name is Bon Dang. That is the victim's name. Your Honor, the defendant went to the victim's place of business and defendant started cursing at the person for a period of an hour. The victim indicated that the defendant should leave the premises, but the defendant repeatedly was cursing at the victim. When the victim indicated the defendant should leave the premises, the defendant hit the victim in the head repeatedly. Your Honor, the victim indicated that she was hit in the head for approximately 30 times. Also, when the victim's husband intervened, the defendant kicked the husband's left leg, and the defendant kept attacking the victim. Your Honor, the fact also indicates that the defendant previously received the criminal trespass warning from going to the Nail Pros premises on July the 17th, 2021. So defendant violated that warning and went to the premises on the February 7, 2022 in violation of the warning. Your Honor, that's the factual basis. The state recommendation is count 1 will be 12 months to serve, 10 days credit for time served, 40 hours of community service, a stay away, and anger management. Your Honor, count 2, 3 will merge, and count 4 will be $300 suspended.
All right, Mr. White, anything on behalf of Ms. Dukes, please speak to whether she's able to do the probation.
Your Honor, I do not believe that she'll be a good candidate to do the probation. Your Honor, Ms. Dukes has been in custody since, I believe, October 3rd of 2022. Your Honor, she won't even be released today as she is facing felony charges that will keep her in custody. Your Honor, we would just simply ask that Ms. Dukes just be given credit for time served and the suspended fines. She's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. She will have to face her charges in Superior Court. So we would just ask that the anger management and the community service be taken down, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Kotoroka Yidam. Yeah, Ms. Dukes has a long history that we're aware of, and I don't know that she's a candidate for probation. I will impose the no contact provision. So Ms. Dukes, I'm going to accept your plea. On count one, it's 12 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served. The balance will be suspended as long as you do not go back to the incident location or have contact with the victim in this case. Count four will be a $300 fine suspended. That will run concurrent with count one. Counts 2 and 3 will merge with count one. And ma'am, you can go back with the sheriff's office at this time, okay?
And Your Honor, I will actually indicate the sentence. I apologize for that. The sentence was 12 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served, no probation sentence.
Oh, okay.
That
No
was
problem then. It works. Thank you. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony in this matter will be true. All right, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Willie James Moses, 2021 CR 01040 for one, count one, no license. Count two, no proof of insurance. Count three, defective headlights. Count four, improper passing. Count five, no decal or expired decal. You're entering a plea of no load to counts 1, 4, and 5. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On August 30th of 2020, an officer observed a motor vehicle being operated by Mr. Moses on the streets of South Lake Parkway and Jonesboro Road in Morrow, Georgia, where the incident did occur in Clayton County. At that time, the officer initiated contact with the, initiated a stop and then made contact with the driver of that vehicle, which was determined to be Mr. Moses, where it was discovered through a GCIC check that he did not have a valid driver's license. Additionally, no proof of insurance. And I think that's it. That concludes the facts, Your Honor. The state is recommending for count one, no license. This is a 2nd and 5. So 12 months to serve 1 day, credit for time served, a $1,000 fine, the balance to be suspended upon the payment. Count 2 be no price. Count 3 be no price. Count 4 is a $100 fine, and count 5 is a $100 fine.
All right. Anything, Mr. White?
Your Honor, Mr. Moses has been in custody since August 17th, so about 12 days. As the state's recommendation currently is, he would have to pay $1,200 in fine plus court fees and costs. We would just ask that some of those fines and fees be suspended in consideration of the time that Mr. Moses has been in custody, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Janvier, any objection?
No, Your Honor, that's fine.
All right. Which fees did you ask to be suspended, Mr. White?
Your Honor, of course, we would ask that all the fines would be suspended, but of course, in the event that that cannot be done, at the very least, the suspension of the two $100 fines.
All right, so Mr. Moses, what's going on, sir? We can't keep ourselves straight when it comes to our vehicle.
Ma'am, I just, I think it was in 2023. I was working for a towing service. We doing repos and repossessions, and the vehicle that I had purchased the vehicle at the time. I'm trying to purchase it, and just got involved in a situation that night when it was raining. Had an electrical problem with the vehicle. Lights went down. The vehicle was about to.
But do you have a license?
I did have a driver's license, but the license was suspended. Didn't have the copy that I had. I didn't have a copy in my possession to show.
Okay, I got you. All right, so Mr. Moses, for credit for time served, the court is going to get sent you to 12 months to serve 1 day, credit for time served, balance suspended. Suspended, and $1,000 fine suspended for credit for time served. I'll also suspend the $100 fines on counts 4 and 5 for credit for time served. Counts 2 and 3 will be no pros. So Mr. Moses, get your license straight before you get back behind the wheel of a car, because you can't afford to come back here. It's going to be $1,500, and I'm not going to suspend, and that's going to be close to $2,000 if you get another one of these.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that is your focus, to get your license back.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, take care, sir.
Judge,
Ms. Sadler, raise your right hand for me. You
Okay.
solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court for 2023 CR 06302 for criminal trespass. You're represented by Mr. White, who's here with you from the law firm of Lister, Holt and Dennis. You're Miss Shayna Sadler. Ms. Sadler, Mr. White has indicated to the criminal trespass offense you wish to enter a plea of guilty. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. Do you understand all of these things, Ms. Sadler?
Yes.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On July 27th of 2023, an officer responded to a quick trip at 8140 Taylor Boulevard in Jonesboro, Georgia, where the incident did occur in Clayton County. At that time, the officer came into contact with the store manager, who advised that there was a female who had been panhandling and harassing customers. The officer made contact with Ms. Sadler. She denied harassing customers, said she was attempting to make a purchase. However, it was determined that Ms. Sadler had previously been trespassed from the location. At that time, she was taken into custody. The state is recommending 12 months to serve 25 days, credit for time served, the balance to be suspended, and for the defendant to not return to the 8140 Terra Boulevard location. And that's it.
Mr. White?
Your Honor, we ask that you accept a negotiated plea. In this case, Ms. Sadler has been on somewhat hard times. However, she has indicated to me that she's been talking with her mother. Her mother just rented her out an apartment, which is where she plans to go once she's released from custody, Your Honor. So we ask that you accept a negotiated plea.
All right, Ms. Sadler, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 25 days. Credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you do not go back to 8140 Terra Boulevard. Do you understand?
Yeah, so when will I be released?
Today, if there's nothing else holding you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so it's my understanding, you can go back with the sheriff's office. Raise your right hand for me, Mr. Jasper. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
No.
You can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2023 CR 06634, State of Georgia versus Deontay Jasper for loitering or prowling and obstructing an officer. You're entering a plea of nolo. Is that to count 1 or count 2?
That's to count 1, Your Honor. The state agreed to no pros count 2.
All right, by entering a plea of nolo to count 1, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. Do you understand all of these things, Mr. Jasper?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On August the 21st, 2023, officer was dispatched to 7147 Mount Zion Circle in reference to a suspicious person call. Your Honor, the officer indicated, the complainant indicated that there were 2 males walking around the parking lot with their ski masks on. Your Honor, when the officer approached the defendant, the defendants kept running. The officer indicated that the defendant should stop and get on the ground. The defendant disregarded the officer's verbal comments and kept running towards the wood line. Your Honor, that is the factual basis. The state's recommendation for count 1 will be 12 months to serve 10 days credit for time served. The balance will be suspended and do not return to the location, as well as stay away. Your Honor, this will be a nolo plea. Count 2 will be non-pros by the state.
All right, Mr. Jasper, I'm gonna accept your plea of nolo to count 1. Count 2 will be no pros. I'll send you to 12 months to serve 10 days credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you do not go back to that location for the next 12 months and you have no violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. Mr. Jasper, what you doing with your life, sir?
As of right now, I'm just trying to finish up school.
Where are you going to school?
Perry Academy.
Okay, are you in school every day or are you just skipping school? What's going on, sir? You can't finish school from the parking lot.
My class is online, so
Are you doing them?
yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jasper, let me let you in on a little secret. If you want to spend the rest of your life in and out of red and orange jumpsuits, you're gonna have to get serious about your life, sir. You don't have to go to college. Everybody doesn't have to go, but you do have to figure out something that you want to do in life. If you want to go to trade school and make a lot of money charging people like me for plumbing services or HVAC services, or, that's a viable thing. But what you can't do is just wander around for the rest of your life and not have a plan about what you want to do with your life. How old are you?
18.
If you don't get it together, you 18 now, and it's gonna come real quick. You're gonna be 30, looking at me going, Judge, man, you old since I was 18 and I first saw you. I'm gonna need you to get your life, Mr. Jasper. You hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor,
18 years old. Get it together, baby.
And Your Honor, if I may, Mr. Jasper and I had a very thorough conversation about what he's going to do next year, and he is remorseful for his actions. He explained to me what happened, and so I don't believe that you will see Mr. Jasper again based on the conversations that he and I have had over the last couple of weeks.
I hope not. And Mr. Jasper, let me tell you something. Even if you have a plan, even if you do something different than the plan, if the plan is positive and you're going in the right direction, guess what? You'll still end up in a good space. You just might be in an even better place, but you got to have a plan, and the plan has to be positive. Once you invoke a plan in your life and it is positive, you don't know, like me, I thought I was going to go into the foreign service and be a diplomat, and I was going to be, in embassies all over the world. I had a plan. I didn't do that plan, but look at where I ended up. I'm a judge, and I still travel when I want to travel. Make sure you understand that you have to do what you have to do right now so you can do what you want to do later. Buckle down and make your life work, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. going back with your going back to with the jail, and they'll release you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir. All right. So Miss Johnson, raise your right hand for me.
Just a second before we get started. I was basically speaking with Mr. White prior to getting on screen with you, and he basically told me that I would speak to you, and then we would come up with a sentence. I'm not sure if I'm like saying it correctly, but before we like did the right hand, I just wanted to make sure like that was clear, that we haven't like
well, this is what generally happens. Mr.
Okay.
White talks to the state. The state makes a recommendation. Mr. White brings that recommendation back to you. You and Mr. White agree on the state's recommendation. And then I hear everything at the time that both of y'all present.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right. You ready to go forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So Miss Johnson, Vernia Melshon Johnson, you're before the court on 2022 CR 07517, represented by Mr. Justin White. Mr. White, what is your client plead to the offense of criminal trespass?
No, she's pleading guilty.
All right. By entering a plea of guilty, Miss Johnson, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On July the 22nd, 2021, officer was dispatched to Atlanta, Georgia, 30349 in Clayton County. Your Honor, the officer made contact with the victim, who indicated that defendant was upset with him because defendant discovered that the victim was cheating with the victim's baby mama. Your Honor, due to this incident, the defendant then got upset and threw the victim's items from the house, including his shoes. Your Honor, the officer also indicated that the defendant cut through the shoelaces of the victim and threw the items out of her apartment. Your Honor, that's the factual basis. The state recommendation is for the criminal trespass is 12 months probation, $300 fine, 40 hours community service, no contact with the victim. And this would terminate upon completion of probation.
Okay. Mr. White.
Your Honor, Ms. Johnson wishes to speak with you in regards to the sentence before you sentence her, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. White. Tell me what you got. I mean, Ms. Johnson, tell me what you got.
So basically, I reached out to the court because this incident happened about like 2 years ago, or a little over 2 years ago. So I reached out to the court because for the last, I would say maybe like 6 months, I've been having trouble obtaining employment because, of course, once I get hired and I go through background check, they're showing a pending charge for criminal trespassing. So right now I am unfortunately unemployed. So I reached out to Mr. White so I could get on calendar. Basically when I was telling Mr. White that I understand the probation and being under the court's supervision for the next 12 months, but I was stating that the 40 hours of community service will be a lot for me, ultimately because I don't have a job right now. So what I'm doing to get income is door dashing throughout the week. I know that if I were to do community service, I would have to be there like for hours throughout of the day, and I have no employment. So the only way that I am taking care of my 2-year-old and my 11-year-old is door dashing at the moment. And then when weekends come, I'm originally from California. I don't have any family here or any friends that would help me with childcare over the weekend. So I can't do it over the weekend either because I'll have my 2 children who ultimately can't stay at home by themselves, and I have no weekend care. So the community service was a lot for me. And then also like piggybacking on me not having income, the $300 is also hard for me as well because of no income.
Very eloquently stated, Ms. Johnson, but I wish you had thought about your actions before you went ham on your boyfriend, because you thought he was cheating on you. What you're asking me to do is to take into consideration that you got hardships, but you're here before me because you made some choices that were bad. So now you want me to feel sorry for you because you made bad choices and there are some consequences that come with those bad choices. And I would have to take in everybody's situation. I would never get a case done because I'd have to figure out whether I can find a way around somebody's childcare issues or somebody's employment issues. And I usually am pretty open to modifying sentences to assist people because I just really think that, you know, sometimes folk are having a hard time, and I get it. And I get that you're having a hard time. But ma'am, you have 2 kids, including an 11-year-old. So these kids are looking at the way you handle life. And if destroying your boyfriend's property is the way you handle life, if somebody's cheating on me, you know what I do? I'll never know it, because by the time they not treating me like the queen that I am, I have already walked. I'm deuces, 2 fingers in the air, peace, because I'm not going to let anybody disrespect me, and I'm not going to disrespect myself so that I end up in connection with the jail because I have stepped out of myself to destroy someone's property. If he cheating, he cheating. If you think he cheating, he cheating. So what I'm telling you is ultimately there's no reason to destroy his property. Just walk.
If the whole thing is like Justin and the state had told me that they weren't here to discuss the semantics of the case, but ultimately I was the one that called the police. That was not the reason that they came out to the house. They actually came out to the house because the individual who is the victim was literally putting his hands on me. And literally the only reason that I agreed to do a guilty plea, because this is going to continue pending. And ultimately, I'm going to continue not having a job. Otherwise, I literally wouldn't mind taking it to trial because that was never what they were called out for. Literally, if that's the case, then we just need to look at body cam and things of that nature. I'm ultimately understanding that I threw his stuff out of the house. So I'm trying to like take accountability for that. I never said that I don't need anything done to me. I understand that I physically removed his stuff out of the house. All I'm saying is it's ultimately staying in a loop. I can't get a job because I have this charge, and this charge is going to hinder me from making money and so forth and so on. But I mean, I can tell from your face expression, you clearly can care less. So.
Nope, I care a lot. Ask anybody who works with me. So I just like for people to take responsibility for their actions.
That's what I'm trying to do. I also
Johnson,
trying to tell you where the problems would come in.
Ms. Johnson, if you really don't feel like you did what you feel like was a response to what somebody was doing to you.
It was not a response to what someone was doing to me, because I ultimately called Clayton County for what someone was doing to me. It was not a response. It was not tit for tat. I called the police to try to have them come and arrest him for putting his hands on me. He is currently right there in Clayton County. We have a TPO from him putting his hands on me. It had nothing to do with criminal trespassing or my things or his things. The call was initially made for domestic violence.
Ms. Johnson, you're not hearing me.
I hear you.
No, you keep cutting me off. What I'm saying is what you're describing to me is something that should go to trial.
I understand, but do you not understand that I'm still going to stay unemployed because I keep looking for jobs, and this pending charge is keeping me from obtaining work, and I have 2 children. I understand what you're saying, and I agree, but ultimately the fact still remains my children still need some source of income, and I cannot obtain that with this charge pending. And I asked Justin, I asked the state, I can't pronounce his name, my apologies. I asked him, when's the next time that I would be able to go on calendar or anything like that? He says, I don't know, it's the judge. I've literally been waiting 2 years for this. So that can be possibly another 2 years of me not being employed because of this.
a breath.
I honestly like.
No, just breathe. Just breathe. Because I feel like if you don't breathe, you're not gonna listen to me. I get it. So what I'm saying to you is, so Mr. Kotoroka Yidam and Mr. White, did y'all discuss a NOLO?
No.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your
Why
Honor.
not?
Your Honor, the NOLO, while helpful, still does not address the main problem, I think, with Ms. Johnson's problem, which is the fact that she believes that she's not going to be able to succeed necessarily on probation due to the.
No, I get that part, but what I'm thinking about is Ms. Johnson keeps talking about employability. A
Yeah.
NOLO will help her more than a guilty from the standpoint of employability. Now the other stuff she's talking about, we can work that out. That's not an issue. But employability is the problem that she's going to have if she has a guilty for criminal trespass versus a NOLO. So let's do this, Ms. Johnson. I'm going to accept a NOLO. I'll send you to 12 months probation, a fine in the amount of $300. But listen to me, the $300 fine is going to be $444, but you'll have 12 months to pay it. With the NOLO, you should be able to get a job because the case will be resolved, and it'll be resolved with a NOLO, which might be better for you than if you had a guilty to a criminal trespass. And then the 40 hours of community service, you could also take the time that you need to do that. But understand that if you make time for those things, the quicker you get them done, the quicker that your probation will terminate. So what I say to you is, with the NOLO, employability might be lessened, that might help you with getting a job. Once you get a job, it'll be easier to achieve these other things because you'll have a steady paycheck. You'll have a steady employment, meaning you know when you're going to work and when you have time off, and then you can achieve these other parts.
So is the NOLO going to show now or after?
It'll show once we finish today with the plea.
Okay.
What you think?
I guess that's what we're gonna do.
I understand that it has taken a while to get some of these pandemic pleas out of the way. We're working as fast as we can to get them tried and to get them resolved. So I get it. But I think the NOLO works better for you from the standpoint of just employability. And if that's the issue, then it's easier to get a job with a NOLO than it is with a guilty.
I understand, but I've literally lost out on a lot of jobs to where I can't apply for the next year or 6 months. It's just put me ultimately in a horrible situation. And like, I can't go work at McDonald's. I can't go work at Walmart with 2 kids. I understand that it's income, but it's not enough with 2 kids and the rent and everything on your own. And I mean,
hold on. What kind of job are you looking for?
A job in customer service that has salary, that has benefits, that can sustain me and my children.
Have you looked at any of the government agencies and any of the clerk's offices?
Absolutely. I can literally show you an email literally right now that's stating that because of the criminal trespassing, no way. Like, it's literally been hindering my life for 2 years. And so I feel like that I've already been doing a punishment for 2 years. So the fact that I have to have another punishment on top of that is just kind of a slap in the face. But like I keep saying, it's neither here nor there.
Okay, well, like I said, I can offer the NOLO. That's about all I can do, or I can offer you the opportunity to go to trial.
I understand trial is not going to help me. So guess we're doing the NOLO because trial can still take another year or 2.
Okay. All right. So with the NOLO, I'll send you to 12 months probation, a fine in the amount of $300. That's going to be $444 with the surcharges, and 40 hours of community service. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victim in this case, and your probation will terminate upon payment of the fines and fees and completion of the community service. Okay. If you have difficulties getting it done, please tell your probation officer. They're here to make sure that you successfully complete probation. They're not here to make your life hard. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Mr. Mr. Devin Carmichael. Mr. Carmichael is the probation expert, and he's going to explain probation to you and get you signed up. And once you're finished speaking with him, then you'll be able to just begin your probation. You don't have to come back here to the main room for this hearing, okay? All right, Mr. White, is Mr. Carmichael back in his office?
I believe.
I am, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mr. Carmichael. I'm gonna put you all in breakout room number 1. Mr. Carmichael and Ms. Johnson. All right, you can go into breakout room number 1.